Hello and welcome to the British Gaming Podcast for the 25th of August 2015. This is Sam, over there is Richie,
Hello.
and Terry gets to go last because that's where he is in all the races.
Wait, is that because I'm over here in the corner?
You're also in the corner, yes. I don't know if you're in the corner, I can't actually physically see you.
It's the safest place for you, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice cushioned,
thanks to-
padded corner.
A little litter tray, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Some food under the door. It'll be alright.
Damn, this is getting dark.
Yeah, we're going to introduce you to a guy called Bob. Now, I don't know if you've watched this film. It's called Human Centipede. And anyway,
That was even darker, Jesus.
we've got a few things that have happened this week. Two men have been arrested for plotting to shoot up a Pokemon tournament. Speaking of...
That's still dark?
Yeah, that's still pretty dark, yeah.
Light week this week.
We've got a patent revealed for the Nintendo NX, and there's a few bits of information we can glean from it. Halo 5, we mentioned before, it's got no split screen. The developers have actually responded to that. Not to us specifically, just the gaming media in general, which I suppose...
They meant us.
Yeah.
I think deep down they were talking to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
They listened to our podcast and they were deeply hurt.
That's what it is.
Metal Gear Solid 5 might have microtransactions. It's kind of unclear. We've then got the fan questions of the week, of which there are, I think there's like 11 this week. Followed by what we've been playing and my question of the week, which of course is the most important thing.
We look forward to it every week.
Okay. Thanks for that.
That's what I get up for on a Tuesday.
Alright, let's just dive straight in here. So we've got an 18-year-old and a 27-year-old turned up to the Pokemon World Championships over the weekend, and they had some form of machine gun and some form of shotgun with around about 250 rounds of ammunition. Thankfully... No, go ahead.
I was going to say, the most important question is this Pokemon on handheld or on the console? Because that's a priority here.
You know, I'm not even sure if it was the trading card game. They could have been having a tournament for that, for all I know. Apparently it's still going. And apparently Charizards are getting up in value again, so... Yeah, if we get a little bit tight, you know, I'm sure we've each got one somewhere.
You've got one still?
Yeah?
It is the trading card game. It is trading cards. I've just looked.
Yeah, I think I've got the entire base set around here somewhere.
I've got folders of Pokemon cards somewhere. I don't know where they are, but I've got them.
The entire base set, most of the jungle set, a lot of the Team Rocket ones.
I've got a lot of fake ones. I don't know if you remember. You guys probably understand the location reference being where we are. There used to be a stalls down in Anglia Square, which is sort of like a city within a city, a little town inside a city kind of thing.
It's like the village market of Norwich,
that
isn't it?
That sort of thing, yeah, but it's mostly concrete. And there used to be stalls down there, and they used to sell fake Pokemon cards, and I've got quite a few of them somewhere.
Yeah.
They all said they were first edition on them, even though they blatantly weren't, and they were really poor quality. But they were super cheap. They were like a pack of 6 for £1.
Great Yarmouth as well.
London, and we didn't do that. Like, Norwich is a new low.
Great Yarmouth, they were having that as well. They were on that all the time, yeah.
God damn, Norfolk, you badass.
Actually, Great Yarmouth did a lot of dodgy Game Boy Advance cartridges.
Yeah, well, we've all seen them.
Yeah.
Funny story actually about that. James Chastney, who we've had on this podcast before, actually ordered a copy of Pokemon Emerald off Amazon. This is years ago now, back when Amazon maybe wasn't as huge, but was still big. That turned out to be a fake. He got swindled.
Terry, remember your Game Boy Advance version of Pokemon Diamond that you found in game?
Oh no, it was Game Boy Color. Jesus, yeah, it was apparently Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Crystal allegedly on the same cartridge. I brought it to the attention of a member of staff there, and he said, "Oh, it's because it's an import version," and he said it in the most patronizing tone I've ever heard from somebody in retail ever.
Did you buy it?
You know,
I'd have bought it.
It was actually kind of tempting, just for the sake of, I don't know, just novelty, I guess. But
just for the lols of having a bootleg game. You want to get down, if you want some bootleg video games, you want to get down Snetterton Market. There's some bootleg video games down Old Snetty.
Yeah, I can believe that's not
Noted.
far away from here, actually, is it?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
dad used to take me quite a bit, and oh damn, you can get like Pokemon Chaos Black version, which literally has Chaos from Sonic Adventure on the cover.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Problem is, we're
So
too spoilt with it these days. You can download all the fakes on the internet and just play them without having to spend any money. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I can play them on my PSP, so I
we've
can
all
play
we've
them on
all
the go.
done it. We've all done it.
So the
Playing as
shooting.
Sonic and Mario.
Yeah, the shooting. Yeah.
Yes. So thankfully, these guys were stopped from even entering the building. What I found weird was they were stopped on Thursday and the car was seized. But it wasn't until they did further searches on the car that they actually went back and decided to arrest them on the Friday. Did that seem kind of
Oh
weird to
wow.
anyone else? Or?
Yeah, that I don't understand. Like,
Yeah. It's like, oh, we think you've got weapons. You just go over there. It's fine. We'll just take the car. And then later being like, it's a good thing you're still around because we found the weapons. Can you get in the handcuffs now, please?
They probably didn't have a good reason to arrest them before they could prove anything, though. That's the problem, isn't it?
Well, if
yeah.
they've got the car, surely open the car. With them there and be like, oh yeah, that is a shotgun, right? Okay, handcuff time.
Yeah.
Do you know how these guys got caught?
Did they post it
No.
on social media or something like that?
They posted on Facebook. Points to Richie. He knows how this
I
internet
knew
thing works.
I knew it was going to be
Ha-
something stupid like that. Just
Hashtag
had to
shoot
be.
up.
Yeah, it was like a photo of the machine gun, the shotgun, and all the ammo. And the guy who posted it tagged the other guy in it, apparently, and was like, Boston, here we come! Or whatever city this thing was held in.
Oh yeah, I can see the picture now. That's really funny.
And then because obviously there's a community around it, these guys had actually been invited to compete, from what I've heard. So the community around it were like, yeah, Nintendo, they're kind of planning to shoot us up. And Nintendo actually made a statement, which they rarely do. Did either of you read Nintendo's statement?
No.
No.
No, it's very bland, unfortunately. A lot of the time Nintendo just keep their mouths shut, so I was surprised they said anything at all. But what they did come out with was just a very vanilla, our community of players made us aware of security concerns which we passed along to the venue and relevant authorities. We can confirm that 2 men have been arrested and charged. And that's it.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't really expect them to say much more than that, would you? They're not exactly going to come out and be like,
Nintendo just comes out on stage. Yeah, boy, there were like these 2 guys. Yeah, they were gonna come shoot us proper up, but we got them.
I don't think Nintendo's run by people like that.
I don't know. I can imagine Reggie Fils-Aimé like kind of doing that sort of thing at E3.
You can imagine him being the one to arrest him, can't you? Like just going up and punching him in the gut.
My body is
The kind
ready.
of guy he is. Taking the gun off him and twatting him around the head with it.
From the sounds of outside Terry's window, they've found another lot of them.
Yeah, Reggie's found you. Reggie's coming for you.
Oh, living around here makes it really awkward to play GTA because I don't know whether it's the cops in the game or outside that I'm hearing.
I quite believe it.
Yeah.
But
Genuine
no,
problem. I'm not even joking.
I am glad that this didn't turn into something worse. Though I'm glad they got caught
Yeah,
when they
this
did.
could have been a really horrible story to read.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know what? Good.
Thankfully, we were able to make tasteless jokes without too much repercussion.
I just think of all the things to target, a fucking Pokemon tournament. You know, it's
So then it's
way-
like,
the way
why
they
would people target cinemas and schools and things like that?
It's just a lot of people in a confined area, isn't it? It's just easy.
Yeah.
the thing is with like the wars going on and certain racial and religious tensions. Bomber blows up a mosque. I kind of see how that ended up happening. I can see how that ended up annoying someone. I'm being very careful of what I say here. How that ended up riling someone up to the point that they would do that.
It's an ongoing social paradigm. That's yeah.
Pokemon, though, I mean, like,
Yeah.
what happened? They couldn't beat the Elite Four? And, well, they must have been able to beat the Elite Four because they got invited to compete. You know, it's just like, this fucking game with its fucking Elite Four. Right, that's it. Where's my shotgun? I mean, I just.
It's just convenient. You said they've been invited, so it's obviously just convenient. The two just happened to coincide. They decided to go on a murder spree, and they got invited to this really big event.
Sorry, I've
In
got this image in
tandem.
my head now of this guy walking up to his letterbox, right, opening his mail. I don't know why I'm assuming it's a physical letter. This is probably an email. But he's like having a chat with his friend. You know what we need? I'm in the mood for a proper good shoot up massacre, but there's nowhere around here to do it. Goes to the postbox. Oh, an invitation to the Pokemon tournament. Hey, mate, this is perfect. Look at this. Weren't we just saying we were looking for somewhere to do a shoot up? Yeah. Good timing, isn't it? Get in car. But we'll post about it on Facebook first.
It's just further proof that the people who do this sort of stuff are generally stupid, aren't they? To post it on Facebook, it's just
I don't know,
it's
stupid
just
or
dumb.
arrogant. I can't decide.
Well, I think the two go hand in hand quite often, don't they?
Yeah. I do wonder if they were even intending to actually shoot anyone, or whether they were just like basically doing a prank that went way too far.
That's one hell of a prank.
Yeah, if you
Yeah, I
weren't going to
know.
follow it through, would you actually turn up with the guns?
Well, people are that stupid.
Oh, by the way, I've been looking
I
at
mean,
some of the articles while we've been talking. Apparently, the reason for the delay between, obviously, Thursday getting the car seized and then the Friday getting arrested, they were given time to apparently provide a license to carry. So,
oh.
yeah, they were like, you've got guns and loads of ammunition at a public event, but that's fine so long as you've got a license. America.
Obviously that didn't turn out too well for them either.
No. It looks like neither of them had it, clearly, but. Wow.
Hmm.
Oh, you've got a license? Stroll right in. The families and children are this way. You know. Ugh. Sorry, I'm just.
Yeah, it was just a poorly designed plan. But speaking of the designs, Nintendo have released their NX pattern.
Oh god, here we go again.
Terry, mate.
Sorry, I'm stealing your thing, but I was sitting on that one for a few minutes, and I really couldn't let that one go.
If you're gonna steal my thing, at least do it well. Alright?
Oh, come on, that was pretty good.
It really wasn't. If that's what's good by your standards, then I can see you potentially enjoying Sonic Boom. Alright?
Oh, dude, too far. Too far.
There's a line, Sam. There's a line.
Yeah, like, let's not lose our friendship over this.
So the NX patent, it's got a diagram with it, and what's getting everyone a little bit worked up is that we can't see a disk drive anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now. We can see that there's room for an external hard drive, controller, so those two presumably are on the front of the unit. Okay? Although, what is strange about that is the power supply unit is also at the front, and the power supply unit seems to have a connection going to the controller. So I don't know if maybe that's just a charging port for the controller, maybe?
I would suspect so, because the Wii U's got you can charge the Wii U controller from the front of it.
Right, okay, so
Can
that's.
Front of
You
it,
mean
I
you've got the
Mine just
thing and
can
you
you?
didn't know?
Yeah, no, yeah, but mine didn't come with a USB charger. It came with an AC adapter to plug into a mains.
Oh, maybe it's that then. I don't know. I'm got one.
Okay. Well, I'm looking because, like, at the back you've got a communication unit which attaches to a server apparatus, so that's obviously your Ethernet or your Wi-Fi, whatever. There, image.
Or the wireless communication with the controller.
No, wireless communication unit for the controller is at the front
Yeah,
next to
it's
the
at the
power
front,
supply
isn't it?
unit.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. At the back, yeah. There's two. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
it connects to a server apparatus, which
Yeah.
it seems to just be fancy wording for a router. You've got image output unit, so your HDMI, display apparatus, your TV. Why can't they just call these things what they are? What's interesting is at the back there's a memory card and a card slot for it to go in. First basic program and second basic program. So those programs could be a number of things. They could just be the memory storage utility. with the second being a backup for if the first corrupts. They could also potentially be game data, but what kind of
Yeah.
skews that is why would you be putting a physical card with game data? Because you can put games on card, that's fine, you got SD cards and such.
Mm.
But if that
Well,
was the
maybe that's what they're
case,
gonna do.
well, why would it be going in the back? Surely that'd be inconvenient if you were swapping out, say, Mario for Zelda. You have to reach around the back of the machine.
Mm.
Usually that wouldn't. It's not very convenient. It's not in line with Nintendo's ethos. So that's why I don't think that that the games even are going to be on memory cards. Like some people have tried to say, oh, but it clearly
Mm.
says game apparatus right above where it says card slot. Now, to that I say that game apparatus is actually for that whole big
Yeah, it's the
rectangle,
whole
which is the
unit. Yeah.
console housing. Game apparatus doesn't
Yeah.
mean there's a slot for a game there, it means this is the plastic shell for the game console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could it not
I
just
mean,
be something like? Oh no, I was going to say an SD card slot, but it's got external on the front, isn't it?
Yeah,
mm.
it's got a slot for external hard drives on the front, and then just above that, so this is in between the memory card slot and the external hard drive slot, you've got the internal hard drive, and this is where it gets interesting. So you've got second basic program again, then you've got game program, and then finally you've got game data. So this implies, obviously we can't say it for definite, but this implies it will be downloaded titles only and potentially no physical releases.
That would be an absolutely awful idea for Nintendo, just purely due to the fact that when it comes to their online services in regards to consoles, PC,
Mm.
and everything, they're still the most primitive. I mean,
No
like the
voice
Wii
chat.
U eShop is just counterintuitive.
Oh, the eShop is just painful to use. I can't. I don't think I've ever bought anything off it, just out of protest more than anything.
And
It's just
and on
awful.
top of that, and on top of that as well, one of the things that keeps Nintendo consoles cheap is they don't put like mass storage drives with their consoles. Like they've just put flash inside them of
Well,
like 8 gig or
32
32
gig.
whatever.
32 gig is as high as you can go on a Wii U. 32
Yeah,
gig
I mean
is.
it
I've
does
got
support
SD
external.
cards that are 64,
Yeah, I mean it does support external hard drives, and I mean this one supports external hard drives. But
Mm,
I mean, if you're buying a console, you don't want to be having to buy all these little add-on pieces as well. You want just the box that you can play your games on, and that's it. You don't want to have to keep faffing around adding extra little bits to it. If you want to faff around adding extra bits to it, be a PC gamer. You know what I mean?
true. There is one thing that concerns me as well. If you look at where the game program is on the actual diagram, it links to something called Identification Information Obtaining Unit. That to me says DRM.
Oh God, yeah.
Because that can only mean we're validating this as a genuine copy of the game. And it connects, this whole unit connects to the communication unit. Okay, everything connects to the communication unit, but it wouldn't be a stretch to say that that could connect to the internet, to a remote server, to try and verify whether that game is legal or illegal. And as we've mentioned before, those kinds of systems always end up hurting genuine users.
Saying that though, it might just be an offline kind of DRM, like how older consoles they had that kind of thing. You couldn't play pirated games unless you mod chips them or did a kind of software hack, like with an action
Mm.
replay cartridge on the PlayStation, for instance, that kind of thing. So it could just be that for all we know.
Yeah, potentially. And
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. Like, in this day and age, bear in mind, they already tried their more physical anti-piracy stuff with the GameCube by having the proprietary disc type that looked like a little mini donut. And that worked out so well.
Mm, yeah, but then yeah, that was just a mini DVD, mini DVD basically. That's all it really was. I mean, you can buy those standard writable.
Okay, let's have a look at another example. Sega learned with the GD-ROM for the bloody
Yeah.
Dreamcast.
Yeah. Then the thing is, though, external DRM, that's not exactly working. I mean, that's the sort of thing that gets hackers to be like, you know what, screw you. We're just going to try that bit harder.
Yeah, typically the more you put in place, the more they try and break through.
Yeah. Well, it's
Because
like
you,
look what happened to the PlayStation 3 when they removed other OS and Linux support because
mm,
they were worried about people using it for piracy. What happened a few weeks later? The PlayStation Network got completely hacked and was down for a month.
yeah, yeah, true. By the way, guys, the more I look at this, the more I'm quite convinced that power supply unit is purely to power the controller because the power supply unit is not connected to anything else.
Yeah, maybe they're doing then what the Wii U didn't do. As you say, Terry said the Wii U obviously didn't have that, which I must have been wrong about.
Mm.
Maybe that's what they're doing
Yeah.
this time,
But there
much like
is
PlayStation, etc.
there's
Yeah.
definitely nothing on here for any form of physical media to be inserted outside of an external hard drive and the memory card. But I can't see anything that a game could sit on. And the fact that game program is sat squarely in internal hard drive, like there's no disk drive. There's nothing that's really reading anything.
Yeah, this to me just says if that is the case that they're doing completely downloadable games that they really do not know their market. Nintendo people are collectors; they want physical stuff.
Oh yeah, they have been all the way since the NES days. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I mean, Amiibo is proof of that. Those things just go like mad.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people don't seem to understand their audience at the moment. We previously spoke about Halo 5 not having split screen, and they've now turned around and made a statement about it, saying that they wanted to get the game running at 1080p 60, right? And to do that, they had to make certain sacrifices and chop certain things around. You see, Terry, this is how you do it, nice and smooth. Um, to me, that says we're lazy and we can't figure out a way to do it.
The thing is, why is that a priority? Why is 1080p 60 frames per second a priority? It's a console. If
mm,
you want the best hardware, buy a PC. If you want something that's plug and play, you can play it on your couch and you can play it with your mates and locally without having to have an online connection. That's what a console's for. That's their unique selling point, and that's just being taken away.
to be honest, if it gives me certain other things, I'm perfectly happy with 720p 30.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
I run my PC is a few years old now, and I run GTA 5 at 30 FPS. And
Yeah.
honestly, I probably couldn't tell you the difference between that and 60. My eyes
Oh
just wouldn't
no,
notice.
I
It plays
can.
so smooth.
I've got not many of my games run at 60, and the ones that do, I can really tell they play like soaked butter in comparison to everything else.
Maybe I would notice if it did run at 60, but 30 is absolutely fine. I don't struggle with it at all.
Oh yeah,
So I, much as you say, I'd be happy to compromise to have the split
That's
screen.
I
That's
mean,
the thing. I mean, objectively speaking, consoles have weaker hardware, but that's not their unique selling point. Their unique selling point isn't having the best hardware. It's, being a sociable platform for local multiplayer. It's for simplicity in regards to
local
just plug in and
multiplayer.
play.
Not yeah, not anymore.
No, I,
No, I know.
Maybe
It's
10 years
stupid. Why
ago.
is that going away? Why are they taking that away? It's so stupid.
games are
There's more
becoming
money in
more
online.
game consoles are becoming more like PCs, and it defeats the point.
And
When
ironically, PCs are becoming more like consoles.
you know what I remember? I remember the days of. In fact, I've seen this in indie game making as well. The days of like the Atari 2600, where they were constantly told, "These are your limits. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do the other." And the programmers used to turn around and go, "Bullshit. We'll find a way." And they did it. Like eight directional movement was supposed to be impossible on the Atari 2600, and there are games that do it. The reason that certain like you weren't supposed to be able to shoot at certain angles in Atari 2600 games as well because the Atari 2600 doesn't do fractions. It doesn't do 29.5. It's either 29 or it's 30. And
Yeah.
the way they got around that was they looked at the old Mayan calendar because those guys didn't know about fractions and decimals and all the rest of it. Yet they made a fully functional calendar that still accounted for leap years, which we actually base our calendar on. So they looked back and went, right, well, what did they do about that leftover quarter of a day? And then they used the same mathematical. I'm really struggling with my words tonight. Concepts to then get their stuff working on the Atari. It was innovative. People were thinking. I saw this a lot on, for example, RPG Maker 2003 when I was big into that community when I was about 15, 16. People saying, oh, you can't work out an angle for something to bounce off of something. You can't work out certain vectors and all the rest of it. And then someone was like, here's Pong with all the accurate angles and everything running in RPG Maker 2003. We've done it.
Exactly.
And yet now we've got.
What about what Richie said the other week with Iwata and Pokemon Gold and Silver as well?
Oh yeah, he got it on that cartridge. He fucking did it.
Yeah.
But now I see people with all these tools available to them, all these resources, and they've forgotten how to optimize. They've forgotten how to innovate, and they've forgotten how to really get the most out of anything.
The problem is a lot of that down to deadlines and things like that.
Exactly.
Are they restricted on how much time they've got to work on something? In an ideal world, obviously, they probably work on it for another year, and they probably could get it in.
I think it's a couple of things.
Remember what Vinny said on his guest appearance about publishers imposing that kind of thing, and therefore they're kind of rushed.
It's partly shareholders who don't understand video games. Yeah, that's always going to be part of it. I also think that as video games have become more complicated, it's harder to find those opportunities for optimization, not to say that they're not there. I also think, back when I really, really enjoyed games, if something said a Hideo Kojima game or an Iwata game, likelihood was they probably did about 80% of the work. There were much, much smaller teams. I think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was a team of about 15 people. And they turned that around inside of, I think it was a year. I've got the history of Sonic somewhere, and it's got the facts and figures in. I'll have to double check it later. But, too many cooks spoil the broth now. If you've got a team of 300 people, for example, and, 50 of those are just doing code, there's no way they're all talking to each other. They don't know what everyone else has been in and done. Not a chance. And that level of control is sort of taken away, and the whole thing is diluted to a point where there isn't accountability and there isn't really room to turn around, get an overall view of the whole thing and say, right, well, if we do this, this, and this, we're in with a shot. Sorry, that turned into more of a ramble than I expected.
Yeah, and the other problem with that is, as you say, there's lots of people on the ground level who are probably the people that are passionate about the games, but then the people above them who do oversee every bit and make the decisions are the ones who obviously putting the money into it.
Yeah.
You want to make the money out.
Well, this is the time we've got. This is what the stakeholders
don't look. Yeah, well, it's like the decision makers, they don't look at a micro level, they look at a macro level, and they think they're looking at the big picture, but in actual fact, they're missing out lots of little details that really need to be a focal point.
Here's what I don't get. Right? Split screen multiplayer. We did it on the Mega Drive, we did it on the Super Nintendo, we did it on the N64, we did it on the PlayStation, we did it on the PS2, you get where I'm going with this. How come suddenly we're being told we can't do it anymore? How much can you really be taxing these machines? Bear in mind, the machines are still pretty fresh out of the gate. We won't be pushing the limits of these for another few years. You look at, a launch PlayStation 3 title versus an end-of-life PlayStation 3 title, you'd have thought they were released on different machines. There's a world of difference.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, as well, with split screen dying out, as I'm sure, Sam, you can vouch for this, and we all can. Back in the day, we used to do split screen on the tiniest TVs in the world. Now we've all got huge TVs. And now all of a sudden, split screen doesn't exist anymore.
We've finally got a TV big enough that we can actually see what the fuck we're doing in our corner of the screen. Yes.
It's just not fair, is it? It's not fair.
I will applaud you, good sir. Well done.
I finally have friends I can split screen with.
Yeah, that I don't have.
Sorry for moving.
Yeah, I'm not really missing much by not having split screen, really, because I wouldn't have anyone to play it with.
Yeah, I moved away and that was about it. He was done. Just move here.
We don't play anything online anyway. It won't make a difference.
Just move here. We'll split screen all the time. It'll be fine.
I'm not coming to live with your internet. You can fuck off.
We'll find a happy middle ground. Yeah, and we'll just both move to the same middle ground. Anyway. No, but like I was saying, people
It's just
use.
game developers getting free, well, game publishers getting greedy. They just want people to buy more copies of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like Yuji Naka. He was trying to figure out how to get Sonic and Tails to display on screen at the same time. He was trying to figure out how to do the split screen versus mode. Like his name is all over the game, but also his work is all over the game. Um, a name that's not on the game anymore is Metal Gear Solid 5, and one decision that has been made by someone higher up than the people in on the ground level is microtransactions in the multiplayer. So, okay, that one was a bit ham-fisted. Um, so you've got,
We got there. It was painful, but we got there.
yeah. I think everyone knew where I was going a long time before I got there.
Right. Now, one thing I just want to mention is my experience with Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, because this ties into a point I just want to make about it. So,
Okay.
basically, they've said that microtransactions are not going to be mandatory, they're just going to be a kind of optional thing, or you can basically grind to get better stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, I got up to one of the later bosses in the game and found that my weapons were just not enough to take the bastard out. So I then had to go back and grind through loads of side missions that were repetitive and boring, and I just could not be bothered.
Mm.
And in the end, I just never completed it and ended up just looking cutscenes online. Now I'm worried about this happening.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. When you put microtransactions into any game, what you're essentially doing is you're making it an endurance test. Um, hey, you can play for 5 hours and get this thing, or you can fork over a couple of quid now and save yourself the trouble. A lot of people will opt for
And
the
we're already
now.
paying 45 quid for it.
Oh yeah, you're already paying full retail price for this game, yes. It's unclear as to how much it'll affect though, because people are saying that the purchases are actually just for your home base, so it's not weapons and stuff, which is kind of weird. Um,
Oh.
yeah, like review copies are out at the moment, but a lot of people haven't been able to comment on it too much because obviously there aren't many people online.
Yeah.
it By the
Well, I
time the
mean,
effects become
yeah.
clear, it's going to be too late.
Yeah, I mean there is a bit of ambiguity. I mean, Konami and GameSpot have been in a bit of a bitching match back and forth at the moment, so it's a bit weird.
Oh, me and Konami are in a bitching match at the moment as well. I made an enemy of them earlier today. They posted up. It was 4 like poster ads for Metal Gear Solid 5, and they all had quotes from reviews on them. And one of
Oh,
them was along the lines of, "Oh, Kojima's done it again. You can feel Kojima's heart has gone into this. Blah 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 blah." So,
oh, why did they remove his name from the cover then?
well, I tweeted Konami in response to that and said, "So you'll remove his name from the box art and the website, but you'll use review quotes that praise him. Double standards, anyone?" That has been retweeted a few times.
Have you had a response yet?
I had a DM from Konami.
Did you
Oh,
really?
Yeah. Accusing me of just trying to stir up trouble on their page.
How funny.
Yeah, it was brilliant. What
oh,
was
wow.
even better though was like a couple of days before they posted up who's playing all of the Metal Gears in preparation for Metal Gear Solid 5. And I replied to it just going, "I know I am," and they favorited that tweet. And I genuinely was playing through them. So they favorited that tweet. And then obviously this happened earlier today, and they have now unfavorited that tweet.
I don't like you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, Konami is following you. They sent me the one direct message, because you have to be following each other to send direct messages on Twitter. And
Oh,
then as soon as I'd
they
sent it, this is a really immature
yeah.
thing, as soon as they sent it, they unfollowed me so that I couldn't reply back.
Wow.
Quick snipe at
They
you and run.
Wow, they are pathetic. I mean, this is the kind of immature stuff that like Jim Sterling was saying they did to him as well. Like it's just so petty and childish.
Oh god, do you think I got the British gaming blog blacklisted by Konami? Nah, it's on my personal
Oh,
account, not the British gaming blog account. By the way, if you want to follow us, we are there. I can't remember the Twitter Twitter.
British
Twitter.
Gaming UK.
British Gaming UK. Thank you. Twitter.com/British Gaming UK. We do use it occasionally, and then we piss off Konami. Well, no, again, pissing off Konami
You
was on
do.
my personal account, not the BGB account, but yeah. Also, we all have personal accounts, so find us and stalk us.
Yeah, I do tweet sometimes. Not very often, but I do.
That's the way to do it, Richie. Yeah, yeah. It'll be a desolate wasteland, but come anyway.
Bit like my YouTube then.
Bit like my love life.
And you had to go there, Terry.
Sorry, I just wanted to go back to it being dark again.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm still excited for MGS5. I still want to buy it on launch. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. We just spent pretty much the money we did have, we've now spent on the print run of Joe Cape issue 3 for Melksham Comic Con this weekend. So,
Plugging.
it's just explaining why I don't have 45 quid at the moment. If I do pretty well sales-wise, then, yeah, I might be able to get it on launch again.
See, I really don't want Konami to have any of my money. The problem is, as a PC gamer, I can't buy it used.
Ooh. Ooh, that's tricky. Oh, by the way, we went into the town at the top of the hill, being very careful again. And we went down a little lane that we haven't been down before, and we found a used game and DVD shop, which great. Their prices were actually really good. And then next door to that was like a shop that had NES controllers, actual NES controllers, as belt buckles, and like PlayStation clocks. So they'd taken a PlayStation 1, and you know the big circular bit that opened up for the disc to go in? They'd put a pair of
Yeah.
clock hands on that.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and like the guy assured me, don't worry, these were all up as spares and repairs. We didn't gut a working console to make these. Because that's what I was
Good.
concerned about.
Yeah,
But
like they don't make those anymore.
Did you take any pictures?
no, I should have done. They're going to be at Melksham
Yeah,
Comic Con
you should have done.
this weekend,
Take
so
take some pictures there. I'd like to have a look.
yeah, I'll grab some photos. They do mail order too.
Oh, sweet. Get a web address or something. I'll have a look.
Yeah, they had an Atari 2600 lamp. That was pretty
Nice.
cool. They'd taken a Sega Master System 2, and you know how it had like that beveled bit for the cartridge. You know what I mean, Terry?
Yeah.
You had one of the. I think you had the Master System 2, because I've got the one,
I
the
did.
big long fucking
Yeah, I had the Mark
rectangle.
II
I've got.
with Alex Kidd in Miracle World built in.
Yeah, but made that like one of those wall lights. So like the bevel bit was the
Oh,
light,
wow.
and then you just had the console casing around it.
Damn.
Yeah, it's really
Oh,
cool.
please tell me that the switch on it, the original switch, was a light switch as well.
I have no idea. I didn't play with them. But
Uh,
it's made me. They only had NES controller belts, but I've got like 5 old broken Mega Drive pads here. I'm really tempted to clean one of those up and get that as a belt now.
nice.
Yeah.
Wait, will Joe let you leave the house in that?
Yeah? Oh, yeah. She just said if I get punched, it's down to me.
She said, "Yeah, as long as you walk 10 paces ahead of me."
Like, if you get beat up.
If anyone asks, I'm not with you, but you can wear it.
Ah, there you go. Food for the family. Oh, is this Daddy here giving him some food? No. No, this is a random stranger in a Mega Drive belt.
I don't know this man.
No. Anyway. Yeah, to be honest, outside of those sort of big things, it's been quite a slow news week. So, really, this brings us on to the fan questions of the week, which will be followed by what we've been playing this week, and then finally we'll wrap with my question of the week. So, I'm going to start with someone who isn't Koshoro Guy, just to break the mold a little bit. Lupacillo. We all remember Lupus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hey.
So he's got some questions for us. Number 1, and I'm just going to read these as they are. I've not actually pre-read them, which is kind of bad of me. Where was your first video game setting when you were kids? Eh? Mine was on the kitchen counter. Oh, this makes sense now. Hang on. Beside the washing machine with my old television in my old apartment. Right. So, where did your video game console used to be when you were growing up? Um, Mine was in my bedroom. I had like a little. I think it was only like a 14-inch CRTV TV. And that was on top of like a chest of drawers, and like the console was just sat next to it, and we used to play there. If my dad was working late and we knew he wasn't going to be home until 8 o'clock, my mum would give us special permissions to bring the console down and plug it into the living room TV. Ah,
Oh,
yeah.
hey, living the life, living the dream.
The big 21-inch.
Ah, yeah, because that was.
CRT.
But those were huge, you know. We got a 32-inch. We thought we were rich. Um,
Yeah. Thing is, TVs looked bigger back then because they were 4:3, so like they were taller, and
yeah,
that just made them look that much bigger.
and how far back they went as well. Like they
Yeah,
commanded a
very
Yeah.
true.
room,
Yeah,
and then you had the
you had to have a
frame.
big cabinet, didn't you?
The frame was always a big chunk of plastic around the edge as well.
Yeah.
But then you'd get my dad
Oh,
come
them
in,
bigs.
and he'd be like, "Get that shit off there." Not because he disagreed with video games. No, that was another problem entirely. But because he was convinced that having the video game console plugged into the TV would screw up the TV. It's like it's no different from having a
Oh,
VHS player plugged in. We've probably got listeners who actually have never seen a VHS tape, by the way.
yeah. Sorry, it's just on that note of like parents and video game consoles. It just reminded me of when a friend of mine he was gonna get a Dreamcast for Christmas, but his mum didn't buy it for him in the end because she was worried about the Millennium Bug.
Okay.
Oh, poor guy.
The Dreamcast was the catalyst in that.
She was just worried that it was just gonna break like as soon as it hit 2000.
I bet she didn't get rid of her TV though. I bet she kept that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think he
That
ends up getting
that
shoes
sounds
instead of
like an
something.
excuse more than anything.
Richie,
Possibly.
I remember you having your video game consoles in your bedroom.
Yeah,
Same.
I've
Yeah.
had a range of video consoles in my bedroom. The earliest memory I've got of a video game setting
Mm.
was when I was quite small. When we first had a Mega Drive, that used to live in the kitchen.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, it did. Sorry.
I don't know if you remember the
Yeah.
layout of my house, but it was kind of like
Dude, I
against the
could 3D
far end of
model
the
it from
kitchen.
scratch and it would be accurate to the meter.
Yeah, and that was
And you
like
claim you
above.
don't have an eidetic memory.
I do not.
Yeah, it was above like the fridge and stuff like that, and it was connected to a tiny little TV that can't have been any bigger, as you say, than about sort of 15 inches
Yeah, that was
or
back in
something.
the day
Tiny
where.
little TV.
So you come up to Richie's house. Sort of like the front door, which he wasn't using at the time. That was sort of like a storage unit which had
Just
your
in case any
fridge in.
burglars are listening.
Yeah, and you actually walk
Yeah,
down.
keys under the flower pot.
Don't fucking tell them that bit. You walk that. Oh wait, under the welcome mat. No, fire pot. Yeah, yeah.
We've got
Anyway,
that.
you walk down the right hand side of the house was just like this little walkway which went into the back garden. Back garden wasn't much to look at. You had like this little patio, then a couple of steps down to a tiny patch of grass, and that was it. There was a shed in there at one point as well. Anyway, so as you get into the garden, you went in through the back door, and the back door's like right up the opposite corner. So it was a ball ache because you had to walk across the garden to get to the back door. So you'd come in.
Sorry.
You come in, you're in the kitchen, and there's like obviously the wall units and the floor units immediately on your right. You'd have to turn left to get to the door, which would go to the staircase, so you could carry on straight to the living room. And you had a dining room table set up. It was pretty much as soon as you came in the back door, the dining room table was like right there in front of you. For some reason, you had a fridge in the corner. Anyway, and on there, I remember your dad used to have his laptop on there on occasion. That was the first time we ever saw the internet. And yeah, you sometimes gained.
Yahoo Pool.
Wait, he had a laptop in the 90s?
Yeah,
Yeah. That was incredible stuff. That was.
yeah,
Damn.
unheard of.
Like, sorry, all I can think of is this episode of Friends where Chandler has a laptop and he's like talking about it's like 12 megabytes of RAM.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was that sort of thing. It was
Yeah.
a tiny little thing, tiny little screen, big chunky keyboard.
But
Anyone want to play Doom?
yeah, so I remember playing in there on that dining room table, and I remember going up to. You were sharing a room with James for ages, and it was the room at the front of the house. You went up the stairs, turned left, immediately turned left again, and it was the door in front of you. You and James had a
Yeah.
bunk bed. There was a silver CRT TV on a stand. Like immediately as you came in the door, you'd be looking at the side of the TV, and you had the old chunky PlayStation 1 connected to
I love that you remember this better than I do.
it.
Again,
Yeah,
he memorizes these things. That's how he knows all these games so well.
yeah. Sit- Every night reads his notebook, his
I,
journal
the
before he
thing
goes to
is,
sleep.
it's not entirely my fault, and there is a question coming up later that actually I've been pre-warned about, which might explain a few of these things.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
foreshadowing. Um, so yeah, that was Richie's first gaming
Oh.
setup. I'm glad he could tell you all about it, Lupus.
I might as well not be here.
Terry, I didn't know you,
You
and
can answer my questions for me.
Terry, I didn't know you until you were like 16 or so I've got no idea. I mean, you were living in London back when you were getting your first video games. So.
Yeah. Yeah, old school CRT TV, no remote, and it was like proper clunky buttons, not digital buttons to change channel, and like little twisty
Oh, the
things
ones
to
that gave
tune
a
the channel in.
proper katunk. Yes.
Yep, yeah, it was one of those. And it was only a 14-inch TV as well, but it was sturdy,
Hmm.
and yeah, had an old Master System 2 plugged into it. Alex Kidd in Miracle World, good times.
I remember a friend of
Then
mine, Neil
eventually a Mega
Mackender,
Drive.
he didn't have a TV in his room, so his Master System was plugged in his mum's bedroom, and the Master System was actually sat on the floor on the carpet and then connected up to her TV in the bedroom, and we used to sit on the end of her bed to play the Master System.
Oh.
So I remember that one. And it was the 90s. Also, can we just double check? Like everybody had their video game consoles tuned to channel 6, right?
Oh yeah. That was the standard. You couldn't
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
have it any other way.
No, initially Channel 5 because Channel 5 wasn't a thing until like mid 90s.
I just remember always having to tune to channel 6, probably because by the time I was old enough to be doing the tuning, like my parents weren't doing it for me anymore, was probably around about the time channel 5 had become a thing.
Yeah,
Although,
I
even
think
though
that's
channel
about the
5
same
was a
age.
thing, we could never get a bastard picture for it.
I was in London.
Nah. But,
The 90s were such a good age for Channel 5 as well. They had Hercules and Xena and Knight Rider. That was just
oh god, they
amazing.
did. But like, no one knows the pain, or at least all of these kids today. Like, I look at Mayor and Grace, and I'm like, if I turn the PS4 on, my TV automatically turns itself on and switches itself to the right HDMI channel. It's like, oh, if something you've connected to me is booted up, I'm just gonna start myself up now and switch over to the right channel for you. And it's gonna be pixel perfect pictures. No, sitting there for about an
Yeah.
hour, like, up. Oh no, 2 bars back, 2 bars back. Shit, it's gone too far.
And accidentally auto scanning it,
Oh
and it just
Oh
god.
skips
no,
right over it.
the worst one was when before like all this auto scan stuff. That was when like they had digital menus and stuff. Like the
Yeah,
old clunkers, you had to have twist this little knob thing
the
on it to.
dial.
Wow, that sounds on it too. To find the right frequency. It was like tuning an old school radio.
You know, I hated as well. Did you ever get it where you were trying to tune the console in, and you'd get like one where it'd be like saw a lot of black and white specks, but you could about see that there was game footage there, and it was doing that thing, it was scrolling down to the bottom of the screen and back to the top, like over and over, and you're like,
Oh
it must be
yeah.
close, it must be close. You'd get a couple more that were absolute crap, and then you'd get nothing but static for another 3 full bars of scanning. It was just like the ultimate
Oh
cock tease. It's
god.
like, oh, it's here, it's here. No, it's not. It's not. Keep
Mid
going.
to late 90s, Scartleys was such a godsend.
Yeah, they were. They really. You just put those things in and bang! It was magic at the time.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we needed a Scartley because we were naughty pirates and we had some American games. And if they weren't plugged in with a SCART lead, they would be in black and white. We needed a SCART lead to play them in color.
Yeah, I had some import Dragon Ball DVDs, but I didn't have a SCART lead. So on my PS2, I would watch Vegeta versus Fat Boo. That was the import DVD I had. Um,
Wait, the PS2 came with a composite lead as standard.
I just remember having to watch Vegeta, Majin Vegeta versus Fat Boo in black and white, and I would watch that like 3 nights at least per week when I was in high school, and I couldn't get color
Nice.
out of it. Ah, I remember now. I did get color out of it once I bought the what was it called? It was like this DVD utility disc for the PlayStation 2. But anyway, if I
Oh,
ran that
weird.
first and then ran the DVD, I'd get color. But otherwise, I wouldn't. I think that's more due to the PlayStation 2's region and the lead I was using. We are way off
Fair.
track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the
Should we get
question
back on
two?
track? Yeah,
Because
go for
yeah,
question
let's
two.
not talk about where everyone's things are in the houses.
All right. Uh,
Yeah, now Sam's mapped out my entire house.
yeah, I have. I
Yeah,
could probably walk around that blindfolded, mate. Do you think English video game
Please
culture
don't.
has become more and more Americanized in recent years, particularly since Sega stopped
yes.
making game systems and Call of Duty showed its ugly mug on British shores? Are the traits of British game culture in danger of being lost?
It's a hell of a question.
Well, let's think. I mean, who's still in the UK making British games? Because, like,
There's Platonic.
yeah, who are
So
ex-Rare
basically the guys
members,
that used.
yeah. There's,
Yeah, there's the guys that are working on Formula Fusion who are like ex Liverpool Studios slash Psygnosis people.
yeah.
So basically, it's people working on spiritual successors so far.
Didn't Rockstar move to the
There's
States? I think Rockstar's office is now in the States, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Lionhead Studios.
Oh, yeah, true, true. LucasArts doesn't exist anymore after being swallowed by EA, does it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Bullfrog are no more. They haven't been anything for years. I think the reason we've got less British culture is because we have less British developers. And then when we do get a British developer, like Rocksteady, behind the Arkham games, how are you getting on those, Richie? Um,
Yeah, still plugging away.
Still plugging, okay. Um, they're in the UK, but their games are very Americanized because they're working with an American IP. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I think as well as that, I mean, I think like small developing companies are just being swallowed up by the larger ones, like mainly EA and that kind of thing. Like,
Mm.
so that's the main reason. I think it's not specifically a British thing. I think it's just small development studios as a thing, really.
Yeah, quirky British humour and charm has completely disappeared from video games at this point. Like, you look at the Monkey
Yeah.
Island games, you don't get that kind of stuff anymore. And it's a shame. So yeah, I agree. English video game culture has become it's pretty much evaporated.
Yeah, I think it touches on a good point with like the evaporation of Sega, because I mean I remember you sort of talking about the fact that like over here in the UK, pretty much everyone had Sega stuff. Rarely anyone had Nintendo, as opposed
Oh
to
yeah,
in America everyone was Nintendo. Whereas now, like everyone seems to have pretty much the same thing, either PlayStation or Xbox, pretty much. Like the few people that have Nintendo kind of thing.
I absolutely agree. I think Sega was a big hit with Europe. I think they played towards those strengths, and when they exited, no one really came to fill that niche up. So we just moved on to
Yeah,
PlayStation, which PlayStation
and
is
before
very, very American. It's in the way they do
yeah,
things.
I mean before that there was all ZX Spectrum as well. Like that was a very
Ah,
British thing.
they have now done the. Have you seen the little remake console they've put out? No,
Mm,
I'm just trying to think.
possibly,
Actually, on the
like
point of the ZX, it made me think of the Dizzy games. Are Codemasters still about?
yeah, no, they make dirt. Remember?
No, okay, yeah. So we've still got Codemasters, but they don't really do anything quintessentially British anymore, do they?
No, not really, not particularly.
Mm.
I
I mean, they
think
used to do Taka touring cars, but I don't know if they still do that.
I think one of the main things about this question though is I think the internet has had a huge play in it in the way sort of the world's getting that sort of the whole world's getting smaller aspect because
Yeah,
of course
Mm,
these cultures are going to merge as things become more and more open and it's easier to
yeah,
work with people in other countries and all the media is kind of gone the same way. Like we get a huge amount of American movies compared to British movies. Same with music.
well, yeah. Let's
Most of the
let's
music
put it
in our
this
charts
way.
is American, and
Like when if we go to my grandfather's generation, because I've had this conversation with him, and people talk to your grandparents, they've got a ton of history to give you. Um, he was saying, like, if boys in Norwich started rolling their sleeves up and that's how they were wearing their shirts, that trend might reach about as far as Thetford if it was a particularly successful trend, but that was about it. Now,
yeah,
it could, potentially spread the world within a couple of weeks.
And that's the viral world we live in now.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I mean,
move.
globalization. I mean, that's been.
Sorry.
I mean, that's been an ongoing thing. Globalization. I mean, like Americanization has just been a thing since freaking since ages, really. I mean, look, if you look into globalization, McDonaldization, and Fordism, there's a whole list of reading. I'd recommend just looking into that if that's a subject area you're interested
I
in.
think
And
as
carry on,
well,
Sam.
a lot of our entertainment media in the 90s was just imported from America. Like, pretty much every animated show I watched growing up was an American show.
Oh,
Like,
definitely, me
Keenan and
too.
Kel, what was the other? Sister Sister. Um, yeah, everything was just American.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Thank you, that's the one I was trying to remember. Shake your fanny fanny, funky song, funky song. Yeah. I'm gonna move on. Is everyone happy for me to move on?
After that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which 32-bit system do you feel more nostalgic for, Sega Saturn or PlayStation? I'm a Saturn person, but
PlayStation.
yeah, that wasn't my
Oh,
answer. I
sorry,
was
I didn't
still
realize you
reading the
said.
question. This is
Sorry.
part of Lupacillo's question. So Lupacillo says that he's a Saturn person all the way. Brazil was Sega country when he was a lad, and he did use the word lad. So
What a lad.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, Sega must have been popular in Brazil considering that they were releasing Master System games in 1997.
and they were releasing Mega Drive games up to 2006. They got a FIFA game in 2006 for the Mega Drive. Um,
Cool.
What the
Nice.
hell?
yeah, I'm gonna go PlayStation to be honest. I've got my Saturn. I love my Saturn, and it's got its quirks and its charm, and it's irreplaceable. But I spent a hell of a lot more time with my PlayStation.
I think I'm probably going to have to agree with you there. The Sega Saturn, I've always said, is my favourite console,
Hmm.
but to be honest, the console I probably spent the most time with, as you say, was the PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean the thing
Had
is,
Yeah.
a lot more games for it, a lot more hours, a lot more split screen stuff, a lot more fun.
Sega Saturn is kind of like that job that everyone seems to have at one point in their lives. It was a relatively short-lived job that was just really bizarre, and no one really knew quite what the fuck was going on. And then the PlayStation is like their first proper job.
Yeah, I think that's a good analysis.
Yeah, like you always love that
Yeah.
little quirky "what the fuck was that," but it's not the thing that saw you through.
Yeah. So no one's gonna say CD32.
No, no, Terry. No one's gonna say that. PlayStation versus
Or the 32X.
N64. PlayStation versus N64 would have been a lot harder, but as it stands, PlayStation easy.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving.
Next question.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question 4.
All right. Um, Do you think electric cars like the Tesla Model S with downloadable apps and cell phone support are the future? Will they ever win the hearts of petrolheads around the world? I don't have a driver's license. I am legally blind in my left eye. I have no sense of depth perception. I think it would be very dangerous for me to drive a car not knowing how far away the other cars on the road are. That also makes me an extremely nervous passenger. I'm extremely excited for Google's self-drive cars because I think that could be a solution to that. However, I recognize the need for manual driving to still be an option in the case of an emergency or something like that. So you'd still need a license, which means even self-drive cars I won't get to drive. So I mainly ignore cars, and I can't add anything else to this question. I apologize.
No, it's
Yeah.
completely fair.
I mean, I think it's like a lot of kind of sort of industry sectors. I'd put it to a similar analogy to people not wanting to move from physical collective media to digital gaming. Like with anything, you're sort of kind of set on what you like and what you want, and it's kind of hard to sort of transition to something completely different. I think any kind of shift like that
Mm.
would be a very gradual thing, and I think it would also be partially due to generation as well. Like I
I think
think
it'd be more like
you know,
music.
a fifth.
No one said
Yeah,
one day you're going to switch from, you know, physical CDs to services like iTunes, Spotify, etc. It just sort of ended up happening without any of us realizing it.
pretty
I
much.
think that's a
Yeah,
different analysis though,
Yeah.
because the whole convenience of digital media like sort of iTunes and things like that is so much more convenient than a CD.
Well,
Whereas, would people agree that a self-driving car is more convenient than when you drive yourself?
well, Richie, you're the only one out of the three of us with a valid driver's license and your own car. So I think you actually have the most weight in this discussion. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I love the whole concept of self-driving cars. Every time there's an article about it, I always read it, watch all the videos. I think they're fantastic, and I would give up my well, I say give up my driving license. You say I need one. I'd give up my car in a heartbeat for a self-driving car. I think, as Terry said, it's going to be a slow process, and as he said, it'd be a generational thing.
Yeah.
There's always going to be some people that are going to oppose it, and I think there'll be a lot of it'll be a possibly like how they're almost eradicating smoking in this country, like trying their best. There'll be some big change that'll come in, and it may have to be a legislation change, like a government change or something like that, to really push it through. But I think it will happen eventually.
Okay. Fair enough.
Personally,
Number.
It's one of those, yeah, it's one of those things where I think it's just the older generation is going to be more the sort of area that wants to kind of sort of hang back a little bit. So, although saying that, I do know a few people my age who are proper like into their cars, like proper, then they don't like the whole idea of sort of cars driving themselves because they see it as like a kind of hobby as well, more than just a means of transportation.
There are some people who
So,
go driving to relax, like I do in Grand Theft Auto 5.
oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I enjoy driving, and I like driving my car. I love my car. I love everything. I love being on the road. It's a fun experience. I wouldn't say fun because it can be very frustrating. Um,
yeah.
but I think that the ability to then have to not focus on driving and not have that constant fear that at any second I could kill everyone in the car with me right now if I really wanted to. If that was just gone out of my mind, I think the journey would be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, you're also putting your trust into a computer to analyze things on the road
Hang
for
I
on.
you.
trust them to do a lot of other
In
stuff
the
already.
in the 5 or 6 years,
Ever flown on a plane?
in the
Autopilot?
guys, in the 5 or 6 years that Google have been testing their self-driving cars, there have been 14 collisions. In all of those instances,
Yeah,
another vehicle, manually driven, was at fault, not the self-driving car. Um,
yeah, but then at the same time, how many of these self-driving cars are on the road? I mean, that's not a very sort of it's not a major statistic to go
I'm
by.
just saying, the self-driving car didn't do anything wrong. The prick that went into the self-driving car did. Uh,
No, but it is interesting that every single instance has been human error.
oh yeah,
Considering how many things could possibly go wrong for the automatic cars, the fact that it wasn't the cars that got it wrong is I think, very
yeah.
important.
I mean,
Oh yeah,
Richie, you're studying programming at the moment, and the amount of different situations and scenarios you would have to account for is
Well,
mind-boggling.
I know we're going on about this a bit much, but
Yeah.
have you actually watched one of the videos where it shows you kind of inside the car's brain what the car
No.
sees? You should. That it's incredible. The way it maps everything around it in real time is just awesome. And
So
I,
it's got
I
like a
watched the
3D
videos.
scanner on it, has it?
Essentially that kind of
Yeah.
thing, yeah. And it places everything around it, and it could identify what's a car and what's a person and what's a potential obstacle, and it all happens in real time, all in 360 degrees. And the video I watched was one of the accidents where someone slammed into the back of it, and you can see it's really funny watching this car just get closer and closer and closer, and you're thinking he's gonna slow down at some point, and he just doesn't, and he just slams straight into the back of this car.
All right.
And it's all 3D modeled. Obviously, it's not the
No.
real thing. It's all 3D modeled.
yeah.
But it's interesting, and I'll try and find the video for you, and I'll send it to
All
you.
right. I'm gonna move
I,
on.
I, yeah. Just one final comment. At least it's not Mr. Garrison's it.
Okay. I'm still gonna move on because, like Richie said, we're spending too long talking about the car for
Yeah,
a
go on.
gaming podcast. This question isn't going to help that. What is your favourite British sweet? Lupacillo says his is Bassett's Jelly Babies. I'm going to say Werther's Originals.
How old are you?
26.
You could have fooled me with that
My
answer.
I
grandparents
have
always
no
give
idea.
them to me. They're great.
I have no idea
Favorite. Ooh.
what a British
Does
sweet is.
chocolate count as a sweet
Yeah, go on.
if it's British made? I've got to try and think now. I just wanted to
Although
I just wanted to
remember,
clarify that.
Nestle is an American company now, and I think Cadbury is too.
Yeah, but they
Mm.
weren't.
What about
So
Galaxy? Mm. Oh, actually, Galaxy is part of Mars. I think that's American.
Yeah. I'm going to push you for
Mm.
time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Werther's as well. I like him too.
Okay.
I'm gonna Google it. Come back to me in a minute.
Right, I'm not coming back.
All
I'm
right,
moving
next
along.
question.
We're
Hang
going.
on, hang on, hang on. Let me look. That's Jelly Babies. No, I don't like licorice all sorts. Love Hearts, don't like them. Wine gums, nah, no. Oh, there you go. A nice British sticker rock or the drumstick.
Oh, drumsticks, yes. All right. So we're going to our regular question asker, Kishoro guy. He's got some questions this week again. Uh,
Hey.
hey, thanks for putting them forward again. We do genuinely enjoy asking them, answering them. We genuinely enjoy answering them. I am really bad tonight. So, number one, what are some of your favourite titles that combine two or more genres together that you would think they wouldn't get all that well together? Oh, gel all that well
I was
together.
gonna say it says
Yeah,
gel,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm not going to go through his examples. So, two genres shouldn't
I
go
don't know.
together, but they
Actually,
do.
no, I could do with an example just to kind of get my brain
All right,
working with this question.
like something that look at Legend of Zelda 2. It feels and looks like a traditional RPG, but then when you get into a fight, it goes into a 2D platformer style. And I'm going to
Oh,
actually
okay.
answer Zelda 2 on the back of that. Game, set, and match.
That's
Terry, your move.
hmm, that's a
Two or
tough
more
one.
genres together.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like a
I'm trying.
platforming
Yeah.
puzzle
I haven't
game.
got a good answer.
Portal would be a good example of the combination of an FPS and a puzzle game.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
I'm gonna go with Rocket League at the moment.
Good man. That's, I'd guess, driving and football. Yeah. Driving and sports sim.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't think of, yeah?
Yeah. No, Rocket League is
Oh, it's
amazing.
so
yeah, talk about Rocket League for a minute.
good.
well, well, no, I was gonna. That kind of covers the later what have we been playing a little bit, so I'm gonna save elaboration for
Okay.
that.
Richie, we're going to come back to you then. I'm going to move on. Is that alright?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
So, two. What are some of your favourite modern licensed titles? To be specific, 2007 onwards. I'm going to go with, and this is a bit of a cheat considering you said 2007 onwards, the recent remake of Castle of Illusion. I'm also going to go with Epic Mickey 2. That was pretty decent. And I'm enjoying Disney Infinity, I gotta say. So, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'd probably say the Lego titles.
Oh,
I
how did
quite
I
enjoy
miss
those.
Yeah, the Lego games. I'm still playing Lego
I mean,
I'm
Batman
they're
gonna go
3.
with all the Batman Arkham titles.
Batman Arkham, yes. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm enjoying the Batman Arkham title I'm playing at the moment, so that could be one of my answers potentially.
Have you gotten past the bit that I was referring to the other week? The one where I said that
I
Adam didn't realise what was happening and kept resetting his console?
no, I haven't got that far yet.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Alright. Question 3 then. Do any of you think we should be getting more anthology of insert name of company here collections, or do any of you feel that they are starting to become cash grabs? 3.5 adds to that by saying, are there any collections you would like to see? Kishorogo says he'd like to see a Codemasters collection and a Humble Bundle collection, which isn't every Humble Bundle a collection? Anyway, yeah. I already got everything I wanted in the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection. I'll be damn impressed if anything ever beats that.
Yeah, although it would be nice if Rare Replay would get released on more platforms. Obviously, an impossibility as it's a Microsoft owned company now, but still, like that would be awesome.
Yeah, true. I think Rare Replay is probably the reason this question came up, to be honest. But yeah, Sega Mega Drive Ultimate
Yeah,
Collection, it already exists. Therefore, I'm happy. Terry?
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess if you can count HD collections, I'm really impressed with the Kingdom Hearts ones.
Oh,
Just
they did it
not
so
just
well.
because they really did, because I mean, they weren't just basically shoved through a texture filter with widescreen.
Oh, no.
You can tell they really worked on every little aesthetic of it, and on top of that, they made it so that we could finally play the final mix versions as well over here as
You want to know
well.
what's interesting
It's
about Kingdom
just
Hearts 1? They had
go on.
lost the majority of the source code for that, so they had to rebuild most of the game.
Damn.
And they took that
Wait,
opportunity.
why wouldn't they just get the game assets from one of the game discs?
Yeah, but that still doesn't retrieve source code and things like that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So one thing that they did do while they had the opportunity if you remember the original Kingdom Hearts, the attack button was also the button for opening chests and interacting with things. It was only Kingdom Hearts
That was
2 onwards
annoying.
that they made it triangle. So
Oh
they
God.
implemented that into Kingdom Hearts 1. So for the first time ever in Kingdom Hearts 1, you can use triangle to open the chests and stuff. So
A little thing, but it's a nice
it makes
addition.
such a difference. The amount of times I've tried to open a chest and Sora's just been twatting the chest with his Keyblade. Not a problem anymore. So, and the Metal Gear Solid HD collection, the fact that they gave us substance and subsistence, which meant that we essentially got Metal Gear 1 and 2 on the MSX in HD as well. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I always look
That's,
at that collection and then realise I don't have a console to play it on.
yeah.
Well, I know it exists on the
It
360, but the
does.
PS3 collection seems to have more on it.
Does it?
no, it's the same.
Oh, I thought it
It's
was.
exact.
It seemed
Oh,
different.
okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's exactly the same. The only difference is that it's split across 2 discs on the 360. That's it.
Oh, potential buy for me then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even
It
realize it
must be
needed
cheap
two
by now.
discs. Yeah, I think you can get it for
It's
like.
only about a tenner nowadays as well.
I think I've seen it around for about 12, 13, give or take. So,
Yeah.
do you have a collection to answer Kusharo's question, Richie?
Yeah. I was thinking about it while you guys were talking. I think probably Tomb Raider Anniversary aside, maybe an HD collection of the original Tomb Raiders could be quite
Oh, well, like
nice.
1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
Chronicles,
Although,
and yeah.
yeah, all those sorts of ones. I thought that'd be
Last
quite
Revelation, I
nice.
skipped there. Last Revelation, then Chronicles. Sorry.
Maybe all the sort of the original Grand Theft Auto games from like 1 to maybe sort of Vice City, San Andreas type thing. That could be quite nice. I
Yeah.
know the later
They
games
did
are
the Xbox.
quite up to date anyway,
I've
but
got the Xbox double pack of 3 in Vice City. That's quite nice.
yeah, but it'd be nice if they
yeah.
were kind of updated a little bit as well, rather than just sort of ported.
Yeah. All right. Fair
That could
enough.
be quite nice. Bit smoother graphics.
Speaking of GTA, another police car.
And
They know.
the other final one, which I'm sure must be on the horizon, Shenmue HD.
Yes, that's got to
Yeah, they
happen.
got to do it.
It's got to be done,
I, re-
isn't it?
I really want it. Like, I've not played the Shenmue games, and I have no intention of picking
See,
up a Dreamcast in those
Terry,
games
you
at the
feel
moment.
my pain.
Exactly.
What is this feeling? Why do I want to play a game so badly?
Yeah, even when you come over here, unless I've replaced my Dreamcast with its faulty power supply, you won't be able to play it. You'll be able to look at it, but you won't be able to play it. I might have that.
That'll have to do for
I
now.
might have gotten it replaced by the time you come up anyway. Um, Question 4. Do any of you think that mobile gaming will ever replace handheld gaming? No. I go to my mobile phone for
No.
entirely different games than I go to my PS Vita and 3DS for. My 3DS I
Agreed.
go to for
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, Star Fox 64 3D, and Super Mario
Yeah.
3D Land.
I mean, there's been attempts at mobile phones that are also like game console hybrids, like the Engage and the Xperia Play,
Yeah.
but they've just not really caught on at all. And like you see these Bluetooth controllers for mobile phones as well, but then for one, they don't support every
No.
game. For another, half the time they suck ass. I got a GameTel thing the other day,
No.
and I took it back to cash converters within a few minutes because there was input lag. It was horrid.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where I'd need a pad or something because the touch screen I get no tactile feedback, and that really throws me off. I can't
Mm,
control the game like that, and also because the controls are on the
yeah,
game screen, I have to cover up part of the screen with my thumb, and my thumb's pretty
Yeah,
fucking
I don't
yeah.
massive.
like that.
I think a touchscreen is just better for simpler games, like the Kung Fury game, for instance,
I'll
and
tell you
like
what, I've been glued
obvious example, Angry Birds, that kind of
I've
thing.
been glued to my phone at the minute because Square, you remember in Final Fantasy 8 and 9 they had that triple triad card game, right? They've released an
Oh yeah.
app for mobile which is just the triple triad card game and nothing else. And it's got like 400
See,
cards from every Final Fantasy ever, and I'm addicted to it. It's brilliant.
see see that's a good idea. That kind of
Yeah, the
thing.
music's back in my head. Like I just sit there on the couch while the missus is watching whatever crap she's got on the TV. And I'm just sat there going do 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 do
Yeah,
do playing cards. It's fantastic.
yeah, I know. Like Hearthstone, that's another good idea for like tablets and phones and
Yeah.
stuff.
As to whether one will ever replace the other, no.
No, I don't think so either.
All right, shall we go to the elephant in the room?
Go
All
for
right.
it.
Pre-warning on this one, guys. This one was spotted not on the YouTube channel. It was posted to the BritishGamingBlog.co.uk website. It's on the comments there. It's from a Jonesman 2006. Um, and the email address that they've used to sign up their Discuss account, from what we can see in the admin panel, is a sharklasers.com email address, which is a temporary, disposable email address. So this is likely somebody's sock account, not their proper real account, just a fake face account. We did, due to the subject matter of the question, we did bring it to each other's attention and ask whether or not we wanted to acknowledge it and answer it. For reasons that will soon become clear, the vote really fell to me, and I decided that we weren't going to shy away from it and that we were going to approach it in the most rational, sensible, and calm way that we could. So now that we've had all that build up, the question is this. Lots of gamers seem to be autistic. Do you have any experience with it? Do you think autistic people are more likely to get into games? I'll just give you a moment for that to settle on the audience side. Okay, so, as you can see, kinda tricky subject matter here. Yeah,
To say the least.
yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, I don't mind saying that the reason.
Oh, this is a great moment for the connection to break up.
Did it? Oh dear. I don't mind saying that I can talk about it quite personally because I have Asperger's syndrome, which is on the higher functioning end of the autistic scale. So autism isn't just one thing, there's a whole spectrum. Obviously, the low functioning end struggle a lot more socially than the high functioning end. It's quite a complex thing. For me, even more so because I didn't actually get diagnosed properly until, I mean, most people pick it up that you've got it around 4 or 5. That's when you usually get told. I wasn't actually formally diagnosed until I was 14, so I'd gone a good portion of growing up with people like Richie, who thankfully were very, very patient with me and very, very understanding, who figured, oh, that's just Sam.
Well, yeah, that's how we always looked at it. You always were just Sam.
Yeah.
You're a little bit quirky, but we loved you for it.
It was like, I would. I actually had to have someone sit me down in high school. It was like a counselor kind of thing, and it was in this after school club in a separate building for what was known as the special kids, which yeah, socially, if you get seen going in or out of that building, that's sort of high school social suicide, isn't it? No one approaches or talks to you much after that. And they,
Wow, you went to school some dicks.
yeah, pretty much.
That's just high school, though, unfortunately, isn't it? Nothing you can do about
Yeah.
Yeah.
that.
So they actually had to sit me down and they had to teach me different tones of voice and what they meant. They had to teach me common body language. I actually had to study how humans behaved to then A, understand it, and B, as creepy as this sounds, replicate it. Because, and Richie, I'm sure you can attest to this, when I was younger, I was a lot stiffer in my body language, and
Yeah.
like my voice did not vary. I didn't have pitches and tones. I've had to really make a conscious effort to forcibly put pitches and tones into my voice and make it a habit until it's just become common for me to do it. Like the talking does not come naturally to me, despite how much of it I do. Um, like my voice wouldn't elevate, it wouldn't go up or down. People wouldn't know if I was making a statement or asking a question, which caused a lot of confusion. I made some really nasty insults to people, not even realizing it at times. Um, it was, yeah, it wasn't fun. I think Um, through genuinely not getting what the big deal was about. I think it was Richie in middle school, and he was something going on about his mum having joined Slimming World with my mum, but they'd both joined. And someone was trying to have a bit of a dig at him about it. Um, and I just sort of bluntly said something along the lines of, well, she's fat, she's on the larger side, she knows it, and she's trying to lose some weight and do something about it. Which I was trying to support Richie with that sentence. Not really how it came out, was it?
Yeesh.
That kind of thing was typical of me. Still is now. I say stuff to Joe, and then I'm like, why are you still with me after I said that to your face? um, but yeah, so I don't know. An autistic's mind, it just runs along a slightly different parallel set of tracks to a normal human mind. We don't get emotion as much. We don't really understand social links. We do have a greater understanding of mathematics and logic and reason, so I've always been quite pragmatic and logical in that sense. Like, I tend to be very anxious. I will, if the missus goes out and she says she's going to be home at 3:30, and it gets to 4 o'clock and she's not home, in my head I map out every single possible scenario to explain why she's not home yet, and then start making plans for how I'm going to deal with each of those eventualities, including the really nasty ones that mean she's not coming home. Which is, it really winds me up when anybody is late for that reason, by the way, because that's exactly what I start thinking. Like oh, she's remembered we're low on milk and she's popped to the shops is scenario A. Oh, someone's rear-ended her and she's in a ditch is scenario B. And I treat each of them with the same sort of plausibility. Does does anyone know what I'm saying here? Richie, help me out, because you can hear I'm struggling here to get what I'm trying to say across.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. I think we all do it to a
Yeah.
degree, but obviously, just some people do it more than others, depending on who they are.
Yeah. Like, I didn't understand social conventions. I was a weird fucking kid. I honestly don't
Yeah,
know why you
well,
put up
you
with me.
say that, but I mean, look how everything's turned out. So
Yeah,
who's had
true.
the last
Yeah.
laugh, really?
I think I got off quite light. You know, but as for gaming, for me, yeah, I probably got into gaming partly because of autism. Games have very set rules, you know? They're logical. You can work them out, or at least I can deconstruct them like a motherfucker. That's why I went and did the degree in it and stuff. Um, and that's, games always made sense to me, and games were always fair. So they acted as a very good hub for me. I felt very at home and welcome in a game environment because I could make more sense of that than I could the outside world. Like, game characters,
Mm.
all of their stats and attributes and their skills and their likes and dislikes are right there, and you can read them, and you can, you know, there's not, you've not got all the body language and all the triple meanings. Like, I will have a conversation with you, and I I will ask weird questions because I want to clarify things, because I might not pick up your tone of voice and not know if you're being sarcastic or serious, or if I've upset you or something like that. So a lot of the times I will just out and out ask the question because I don't know. And Richie puts up with a lot of this. Has done over the years. It's like, are you pissed off with me, Richie? No, I will be if you keep asking. No, now get out, because
Yeah.
you're raising your
Stop walking into
voice,
my house.
and I've been told that people raising their voice at me means they're angry. It's like, um, but no. So I've walked away from conversations before, and I've, a month later in my head, still been going over, oh, maybe if I'd have said this, the conversation would have gone like that, and still looking at the different branching paths and scenarios for that conversation. Um, which I hate games with multiple branching paths. Like, if I play The Walking Dead from Telltale, I have to do every possible branch. I can't leave one potential branch not played through. It's yeah. Um, so yeah, video games made a lot of sense to me, and not only that, but especially once I was, because I found it hard to make friends anyway. You know, I wasn't much of a physical kid. Due to not having depth perception, I was shit at sports. We covered earlier that I'm legally blind in my left eye. You know, the ball would just smack me in the face. The fact that autism can impair your motor skills, your hand-eye coordination, that kind of thing. No depth perception and autistic. You're picked last for football every goddamn time, let me tell you that. Um, and a lot of kids, and I give Richie a lot of credit here because he was always good to me when everyone else essentially didn't want to know. I was, the creep, the weirdo. Um,
You're making me sound fantastic in this. Keep going.
in all honesty, mate, you were. Alright? Anyway. Yeah, now I've got to be careful before I set off something
Oh,
else and then you'll have me blubbering on a fucking podcast. That's not good. Man
if you were
up.
closer, Sam, I'd give you a hug if you were closer.
Hang on, don't fucking say that when I'm trying to man up, you bastard.
Break your arms for jerking each other off so
Fuck you, Terry.
Now kiss.
Right. Anyway, where I was going with this. Um, so I didn't go out and play. I didn't. I sat in. I played video games. I drew comics. I still play video games. I still draw comics. Hell, occasionally when I can be asked, I make a video game. And the social links I formed were based around those video games. If I didn't have 2-player sessions with Richie, I doubt I'd have had much socialising at all.
Well, that's nice to hear. I'm glad that it meant so much to you.
Yeah.
That's really nice to hear.
Yeah. I'm
Because they're some of my fondest memories as well. So you know what my memories like, and yet somehow those ones stick out.
Yeah. You guys give your thoughts on it a sec. I'm just gonna go on mute for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I guess for everyone, like any kind of escape as a medium would sort of have some kind of connotation to it, like some kind of like the experience of it would mean something different to them. Really, I don't think you can sort of narrow something down to like a condition just because of the fact that like every single person, even if they share a condition, has a different kind of experience in their life, and each person is an individual person. So it's one of those things where trying to look at something generally and statistically with this kind of thing, it's just I don't think it's the sort of way to approach it. I think it's more sort of if you look at each individual's personal experience, and I mean, maybe it could be one determining factor, but I don't think I don't think that sort of covers a whole person's experience. Like that's one of many factors that covers the person's experience. I mean, I'm saying this as someone with, anxiety, that kind of thing. That's like one part of me. I wouldn't say that's my whole kind of being. And I'd imagine you'd probably sort of say that for yourself, Sam. Like, I don't want to speak for you.
I just brought myself
Yeah.
off mute so that I could comment on that. Right. I don't know. You see, through conventions, that kind of thing, I've met a lot of people who are also autistic who have had very similar experiences. And I am.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where you have to be fucking proud of it, alright? Because without that,
Yeah.
I think that's. Yeah, it's defined a hell of a lot of who I am, alright? But I'm so fucking
Oh
glad
yeah.
that I got those skills when I did. You know what? Fine. I didn't have the same childhood as a lot of people did. But I'll tell you what, a lot of people right now are so fucking jealous when they see the things that I can do with a computer, when they see the comics that I put out. And, I gained those skills by sitting inside and doing these things, and I probably wouldn't have been sitting inside doing those things if not for the autism. There's a chance that I'd have gone out and played like every other kid, and I'm very, very fucking glad that it led to obviously the friendship that I've got with Richie. That's been a lifelong friendship. It's an irreplaceable friendship, and I'm sorry, Terry, because I know that sometimes that obviously I've moved schedules and stuff to suit Richie before, but not you, and I feel horrible for that. But it's there's a lot
know.
of things it's brought me. Like it brought me my friends Jenny and Craig, who then took me to Comic Con for the first time. Who I've never felt. There are two places where I have felt really at home. One is Richie's house. The other is Comic Con, which is thankfully I get to go to one pretty much every month through selling my comics and my art and doing all of that sort of annual tour. That they feel like home. They do, and I, I don't think I'd have that if not for the autism. And yeah, so I'm, you know what, fuck it, I'm glad. Yeah, and I'm going back on mute.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anything about yourself, you just own it, and yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add, really, I suppose, is we're going on about how does autism kind of lead you into gaming? Well, maybe it does, but I don't think it's true strictly the autism necessarily. I mean, people obviously, autism or not, people deal with things in different ways. Everyone has their own ways of comforting their own things, be it video games, be it alcohol. I mean, there's such a wide variety of things you can use to sort of as a comfort or to help you, as you said about escapism and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think
Sorry,
that you can
it's
necessarily
just
pinhole.
just coming off again to right. It's the connection. Not I'm not necessarily talking about escapism. I'm talking about the they're very logical. They're very reasonable. They're very fair. Games aren't.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They're not
I
an
understand.
emotional thing. Games don't make irrational decisions. Games don't turn around and go, your HP is now halved because I felt like it. And I felt that that level of understanding of a virtual world that I didn't have for the real world. That's what I connected with, and I think it was because of the way my mind was set up due to, in part, the autism. And I don't know why I talk about it past tense. Obviously, these are things that, I mean, nowadays through a lot of sessions and various other things, I've sort of got it to a point where a lot of people sort of have a feeling, but they don't. I guess they don't feel comfortable asking. A couple of people do occasionally ask, and like when you tell them, yeah, they just sort of, oh, okay. I think there's a lot. People know a lot more about it now than they used to.
There is still, yeah, there is still a bit of a stigma around it, though, isn't there? Like, you don't want to offend someone by saying you've got the obvious signs of autism because that could be construed as an insult by some
No, like
people.
for everything I say about
Richie.
being glad for it, what's really ironic is like a couple of times a day I will do the colored block test on my kids just to check them. It's fucking ridiculous. For those who don't know, one of the early signs is like if you give a kid some Lego or just some building blocks in general, so long as they're multicolored and they've got different shapes, what you're looking for is you're looking for structures which are symmetrical, color coordinated, and structurally sound. So if you see those three things from a child, there's a chance that they're autistic because non-autistic children don't start considering those kinds of things until later in life as a general rule of thumb. It's not the only warning sign, it's just one of, and like, I don't know, it's fucking stupid. I,
So it sounds like you're prerequisited for for being in the field of construction.
yeah, it's like, but you know what I mean. It's this weird. I'm a hypocrite. I say I'm proud of it and I'm happy about it and I wouldn't have wanted to be anyone else, but I shit myself and keep checking my kids for it. It's yeah, it's a double standard. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, but the problem is, you say that. I mean, it's obviously you're happy with where you are and everything, but it doesn't always go quite as smoothly for everyone. So you want them to kind of avoid the bad side of it, really, don't you?
Richie can
Any
probably
negative
tell
things
you.
that could come of it.
I mean, Richie's seen the absolute worst of me, and he's seen the absolute best of me. Um, it probably wasn't until I was about 19 that I was truly that I no, I'm not going to say truly comfortable with myself. That probably didn't happen until I was about 22, 23. I think 19 was when I started on the route to becoming comfortable with myself. Like I'm very very fortunate to have found Joanna. She's very supportive, very understanding, and she's got the balls to be blunt with me. Like, if she gets any indication that I'm not following her or that I'm interpreting her differently to how she wants to be interpreted, she she knows and feels comfortable just flat out fucking telling me, which is great. It's to be honest, it's what we need. And Richie got used to that very early on, very quickly. But I don't know, it's about 19 that I started becoming okay with who I was and being sort of putting my life on the track to where it is now, and being as happy as I am now. I don't think I'd have got there without you, mate. But you, God, you've seen all the fucking remember the old Bebo blogs and shit that you used to get from me. Fucking hell.
Zanga, I think it
Oh
was when you
God,
fight
yeah,
Zanga.
that too. That was fucking.
But let's not talk about
Yeah,
that.
no, there's let's just say there's been Prozac and all sorts involved in the past, and it's not a smooth ride for everyone. And like anyone who is sort of you know is autistic, listens to the podcast, anything like that, if you want to get in touch, feel free because you know I don't know your exact situation, I don't know exactly where you are, but I I probably have a better idea than most, you know.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, there's that. Um, has that answered the question? Have we answered the question?
Yeah, I think we've
All
covered
right.
it.
Yeah.
Right, we tackled it. Fine. What have we been playing this week? I went to an arcade.
Um.
We took my daughter turned 3 on Friday, which is yeah
Oh yeah.
fantastic. We took her to Bournemouth yesterday. Don't bother with the aquarium in Bournemouth; it's shit. Um, but we went to an arcade and they had Time Crisis 5. They had the new Mario Kart GPDX or whatever it's called. But it's got like it had the
Nice.
DLC update for Metal Mario and Rosalina as playable characters. But I just went Luigi again. I always go Luigi. Um, always have, always will. Cosplayed Luigi and everything. Time Crisis 5 is a hell of a lot of fun. They've changed it now. There are two pedals, so
Oh,
there's
nice.
sorry, hey, I'm just wiping some shit from my nose. Um, there's a left pedal and a right pedal, and they're each different bits of cover in the map. And
Oh, that's
there's like
quite nice.
some enemies with shields, so if you like try and poke over and shoot at the shields, you can't get them. So you have to hit the other pedal, and you sort of swish around to the back of them, and you shoot them from behind. Which is it's just really nice. It reinvigorates Time Crisis quite a bit, and I pumped a couple of quid into that. It was a good time. There's a Batman arcade machine, which is just a really horrible street racer. And it was advertising, I can't believe there's
Oh.
DLC on arcade machines. It was like, newly added. I don't know how long it's been saying newly added, but it was like, the Tumbler from Dark Knight Rises. And you could race as the fucking Tumbler. So yeah, play obviously that Triple Triad app I mentioned earlier. I've been playing um, quite a bit of that. I went back and played some Metal Gear because I've got this week off work, so I've had time on my hands.
Nice.
I've been playing some of the Metal Gears in preparation for MGS5, despite the fact that I don't know whether I can afford it yet. Um, I want to be able to, but I just don't know if I will. Um, and that said, I probably wouldn't have my job, and I probably wouldn't be as good at my job as I am without the autism, which is kind of a weird thing. Yeah,
Mm.
actually, because I have to work a lot with logic, so that really helps with that. It's all a lot of computer stuff, so that really helps too. Um, but yeah, so a lot of triple triad. Um, that's really been about it for me. Yeah. Oh, and we finally started trying to get caught up with Tales of Xillia. We haven't played it in ages because it was one of those games that I only ever play with Jo, because she's really into the story and stuff. So we've got Tales of Xillia 2 sat there unopened. We've got Tales of Symphonia Chronicles sat there unopened. So like, let's crack through Xillia 1 and actually get to the
Yeah, I
others.
remember you saying about the Steelbook.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, that's what I've been playing. You guys?
Um, oh God, what have I been playing? um, wow, my brain has just gone completely blank.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I've been playing much, probably to Sam's disgust, quite a lot of Fallout Shelter. I'm proper hooked on that game. It's grindy as hell and it's slow as
Yeah,
hell,
that's why I
but
couldn't get on
I'm
with it.
really enjoying it. It's simplistic. It's the kind of thing that I can just sit and play for 5 minutes and then put it away again. I don't have to get too absorbed in it,
Yeah.
which is quite
Hmm.
nice. So I can play it when I'm on the toilet and stuff like that, as you do. Uh, Aside from that, me and my brother played some more GTA 5 last night. I got some more footage out of that. I'm going to put together a kind of compilation of the stupid things we did because some of it was quite funny. A lot of it's quite
That
boring, but some of it was
bridge,
quite
by the
fun.
way, from your recent video.
Oh God,
Oh
yeah.
my word! When you were trying to get across that, I was on tenterhooks. I was like, it was one of those things where you remember when we were in handwriting class, and that level of concentration and fine detail used to always make me need to pee every 5 minutes. I got that same flinching.
Yeah.
I got that same flinching feeling, even though I wasn't controlling it. Watching you go over that bridge, it was such a precise thing. I was like, "Oh, this is just making me need to piss." It's just like anything
The only downside
precise.
to playing,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, the only downside to playing GTA 5 with my brother is that he always beats me on everything.
Of course he does.
I hardly ever win. It's gotten to the point that in GTA 5, when you play online, you can put bets on yourself.
Yeah.
You can bet actual sort of in-game money on yourself. I've stopped doing that because I've lost so much money
Oh, one thing that
through
does
doing that.
confuse.
It's all right for him because he had a modder drop a load of money on him, so he's really really rich, whereas I'm not.
One thing that always confuses me is obviously James Chastney, who we had on the show, is called James. Richie's brother is also called James. So his video went up, and it's like on one side it says Richie, on the other side it says James, and then like at the end it came up with like the Xbox Live tag or whatever it is, CHSTNY. So I was like, oh, he wasn't playing his brother, he was playing Chaz. So yeah, I get really confused as to
No,
which.
that's my GTA 5 crew. When me and James Chastney, not my brother, both first got GTA 5, he started a crew, which is a feature in GTA 5 Online. I don't really know what
Yeah,
it
no, I
does.
know what you're on
He
about.
invited he called it Chustney, and he invited me to it, and I joined it, and now it's stuck next to my name whenever I do anything.
Okay, so I was listening to that like, oh, this is his brother. Yeah, it's his brother's voice, and then it ended and it had Chastney on screen. I was like, other James. Um,
Yeah, if you notice, that's next to my name, not
okay,
his.
could you maybe do something to make that a little clearer in future, or maybe like title
Yeah,
James Chastney as Chaz because that's what we will call him anyway, and just keep your brother as James. Or,
yeah,
yeah.
might be easier. Or start calling him Manic Mechanic because that's his YouTube
That's
name.
something I should probably have taken offline, not during the middle of the podcast.
Terry,
Autism.
have you managed to beat your games?
Oh, yeah. So I'm thinking, I got that backlog thing to get through, and I got out my copy of Bayonetta,
Ooh,
and so far so
it
good.
is a damn good game.
Bloody
The
beautiful.
plot is absolute
It really
bollocks.
is. Oh yeah, so far the plot is just stupid, but so far it's really, really fun, and I'm probably going to end up getting Bayonetta 2 as a result. So another reason I'm glad I got my Wii U.
Yay!
Um, other than that, pretty much just been playing Rocket League, and that game is bloody addictive.
It really is. It's so good.
Yeah, my brother keeps telling me to buy that because he plays quite a lot of it, and I've played it around his, and I just royally sucked at it. It seems like it's something you have to practice to get good at.
I don't know. I
Oh
was good
yeah, the
at that
first few
pretty
games
much
I
off the
played
mark.
sucked.
Oh,
I
I've
just started
not,
playing and it
not
made
at all.
sense to me. So, but then here's what's really weird. I mean, we talked about me not having depth perception in the real world. Obviously, video games is a 2D representation of a 3D world, and that throws a lot of people out. But because what I see day to day is a 2D representation of a 3D world, I don't have any trouble crossing into video games, so I can't catch a ball for shit in real life. But playing Rocket League, I know exactly where that motherfucking ball is. Odd side effect. Worth
Hmm,
mentioning.
intriguing.
Yeah. But so is that everything for what we've been playing this week?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Unfortunately, the Skype call dropped at this point, but all we were really missing was my question of the week. I do apologise for the inconvenience. Please blame my crappy rural broadband connection and petition Openreach to get broadband to the remaining 12% of the UK as soon as possible. This is exactly why I don't live stream currently. At any rate, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week.